Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel, The Cheryl Hubbard Show. So glad to see you. Glad you could be here. Glad to see you today. Glad to see you today. Today is Saturday, what's it, the 13th? Um, yeah, the 13th of June 13th, 2020. So glad to see you. Glad you could be here. Glad you could make it. Yep, so glad to see you. So it's a nice Saturday. It's hot outside. And nice, I went out earlier, just went and got a few little groceries. So feels good to be able to get out, get out a little bit and keep your social distancing and I took my mask with me to the store. So didn't, have to put it on. I didn't have to put it on until I went inside the store because, I rode down there myself, so kept my social distance with, everyone just rode by myself. But it's nice out. Glad to be able to get out and, enjoy a little bit of fresh air. But I'm glad you can make it. Glad to see you. I hope you are having a wonderful Saturday so far. But welcome to my channel. Subscribe to my channel. Comment below. I always try to bring interesting information, educational information, enlightening information. I try to bring that to you on my channel. So today I want to talk a little bit about contracts. What is a contract? What are the elements of a contract? And when do you use it? When do you usually see a contract? When do you usually see a contract, and when is a contract enforced? What type of contracts are out there? So let's get started. So first, I want to start with the definition of a contract. So a contract is an agreement based on mutual promises between two or more competent parties to do or to refrain from doing some particular thing that is neither illegal or impossible. So in other words, it's a it's a so it says it's an agreement. It's an agreement. So based on mutual promises. So in other words, both of you have to mutually agree. So mutual means, two people, two or more people. So you have to mutually agree. You can't have a contract and say, for instance, somebody say, hey, Cheryl, Miss Hubbard, look, wash my car and I will give you $20. So if they tell me to wash my car, I wash their car for $20 and I agree. That's like a verbal contract. So it seems sincere, and they say, wash my car, I'll give you $20. So then if I agree, that would be like mutual assent. That's just like, agreeing. So the agreement results in an obligation or a duty that can be enforced in a court of law. So it has to be authentic. It has to be, real. You have to see that it's real. It can't be a joke. Like somebody say, oh, wash my car, I'll give you $100, then start laughing, you be like, well, you know what, that don't even seem so sincere. That doesn't even seem like a contract. So it says both of the agreements, here go case right here. I'm going to read this case. This is a case, I guess they're trying to see if whether or not it is a true contract. Bascombe Press Incorporated, a leading publisher of novels, biographies, and best-selling how-to books, hired Greenhouse as an editor. Greenhouse agreed to perform all the duties of an editor in exchange for his annual salary. As one of his first duties, Greenhouse contacted Gardner, who had just announced finding the long-lost private diaries of Napoleon. Long-lost diaries of Napoleon. Bascombe Press agreed to pay Gardner $5.5 million for the exclusive rights to publish and distribute the diaries. Garneau, in turn, agreed to refrain from selling the publishing and distribution rights to anyone else, including the rights to any movie or television miniseries based on the diaries. Both of the agreements in this case resulted in legally enforceable contracts because the parties agreed to mutually satisfactory terms. In the agreement between Bascombe and Greenhouse, both parties agreed to do something they were legally entitled to do. So in other words, a contract, you can agree to do something or refrain from doing something, as long as you have all the elements, and I think it's 6 elements to a contract. As long as you have all those 6, all the elements have to be, all the elements have to be there in a contract for it to be legally enforceable. Let's say the contracting party who makes a promise is known as a promisor. The one to whom the promise is made is a promisee. The party who is obligated to deliver on a promise or to undertake some act is called the obligor. The contracting party to whom the obligor owes an obligation is called the obligee. So what it said Bascombe, Press Incorporated, a leading publisher of novels, biographies, and best-selling how-to books. So in other words, this company hired Bascombe Press Incorporated. They hired Greenhouse as an editor. Greenhouse agreed to perform all the duties of editor. So they agreed to perform all the duties. So in other words, that's like offer, and then they accepted. So those are the first 2 elements. So Bascombe, they agreed, and they accepted the offer. So those are the first 2 elements. And let's say Greenhouse agreed to perform. Greenhouse agreed to perform all the duties of an editor in exchange for his annual salary. See, in exchange for his annual salary. So that's part of the acceptance. So in exchange for his, actually that would be consideration. Offer, acceptance, consideration. You have to have consideration. Offer, acceptance, consideration. Consideration that's something of value. So in other words, somebody say, hey, Miss Hubbard, Cheryl Hubbard, can you wash my car? I'll give you $20, and I agree. So that's offer. They offered it, I accepted, and they provided consideration, which was $20 for my services. So that would be the first 3 elements. So it says, as one of his first duties, Greenhouse contracted Garneau, who had just announced finding the long-lost diaries of Napoleon. Bascombe Press agreed to pay Garneau $5.5 million for exclusive rights. So he agreed to pay $5.5 million. That's consideration. That's something of value. He paid $5.5 million for his services. They paid him $5.5 million for his services. It says for the exclusive rights to publish and distribute the diaries. Garneau in turn agreed. So he offered acceptance. He accepted. He agreed to refrain from selling. See, so you can refrain from doing something or you can do something. And agreed to refrain from selling the publishing and distribution rights to anyone else, including the rights to any movie or television miniseries based on the diaries. And so down here we have the elements of a contract. Elements of a contract. A legally complete contract would arise between 2 parties when all 6 elements of a contract are present: offer, acceptance, mutual assent, capacity, consideration, and legality. So it has to be legal. Can't have a contract. In other words, somebody offer, somebody accepted. Consideration is something of value. Capacity, you have to be of legal age. You have to be legally sound. You can't have a mental problem, or you can't be on drugs or nothing like that. Consideration is something of value. And legality, it has to be a legal contract. It can't be nothing shady, And so if somebody is a minor, you can't enter into a contract with a minor. So if a minor is anything below, I guess, 18 years old, if that contract can be rescinded, because if you enter into a contract with a minor under 18, their contract can be rescinded. They can go in the store and buy something, and they get in line. They're 17 years old. They get in line and buy something from Walmart, Kmart. They definitely can come back and get their money back. It says, yes, we have an offer, acceptance. Wash my car. I'll give you, wash my car. I accept it. Somebody say, wash my car, Miss Hubbard. And I say, yes, that's an acceptance. Mutual assent. We both agreed. We both agreed on me washing that person's car. Capacity. I am of age. I am of age that I can, speak for myself. I'm mentally sound. Consideration. At $20, they said they're gonna pay me. That's something of value. Consideration. And legality. So it's a legal contract. It's not no shady drug deal or nothing like that. It's a legal binding contract. An offer is a proposal made by one party to another indicating a willingness to enter into a contract. The person who makes an offer is called the offeror. The person to whom the offer is made is the offeree. Making the offer is actually the first step in creating a contractual relationship between the two parties. Because of its position of importance, the offer must be seriously intended. Yeah, that's what I said. Can't be like you joking and laughing. Seriously intended and definite and communicated to the offeree. If these requirements are met, the offeree may choose to accept or reject the offer. And like I said, you can't be saying, hey, paint my house, but you laughing and joking, paint my house, ha ha ha, paint my house, I'll give you a couple $1,000, and you laughing like you joking. It's not serious. You're not speaking with force of that seriousness that it takes to build a strong contract, authentic contract, I would say. You got acceptance. In most cases, only the specifically identified offeree has the right to accept an offer. Acceptance means that the offeree agrees to be bound by the terms set up by the offeror in the offer. In many situations, if the offeree changes any of those terms, the acceptance is not really an acceptance but a counter offer. See? And then mutual assent. If a valid offer has been made by the offeror and a valid acceptance has been made by the offeree, then the parties have agreed to the terms and mutual assent exists between them. Mutual assent is sometimes called a meeting of the minds. So mutual assent, meeting of the minds, in other words, meeting of the minds, you both are here together, you both are here together in your minds. The meeting of the minds. In other words, your mind, you both agree. Meeting of the minds. So then we have capacity. The fourth element necessary to make a contract complete is capacity. Capacity is the legal ability to enter into a contractual relationship. Capacity, the legal ability to enter into a contract. The law has established a general presumption that anyone entering a contractual relationship has the legal capacity to do so. However, this presumption can be attacked. Minors, like I said, minors cannot enter into a contract. Minors are generally excused from contractual responsibility. Persons deprived of the mental ability to comprehend and understand contractual obligations, and people under the influence of alcohol or drugs may have the right to abandon their contracts. So you enter into a contract with a minor, they have the right to abandon their contract. You enter into a contract and somebody under the influence of drugs or alcohol, because since they're under the influence of alcohol or drugs, they don't have the mental capacity. You under the influence, that's just like when you're driving. You under the influence, you're not mentally capable. So you under the influence of drugs or alcohol, you can't enter into a contract because it won't be a binding legal agreement because it will be tainted. My opinion, it would be tainted. So they said capacity, the fourth element, make a contract complete its capacity. So it says person deprived of the mental ability. You have to have the mental ability. So do we have the next one is consideration, the fifth element, consideration. The fifth element of any complete contract is a mutual exchange of benefits and sacrifices. So I say there's something of value. So so they say in here benefits and sacrifices. So I gotta have, like I said, the gentleman asked me to wash his car, or the lady asked me to wash her car, and she said she'd pay me $20. So she seemed sincere. It seemed like a verbal contract that would be considered a verbal contract. Now, some contracts, according to the statute of frauds, certain contracts have to be in writing. So I know contracts of $500 or more definitely have to be in writing. And, a lot of other contracts, so we'll get to that shortly, has to be in writing. Then we have legality. The final element of a binding contract is legality. Parties cannot be allowed to enforce a contract that involves doing something that is illegal. So you can't enter into a contract for the sale of drugs or anything that's illegal. That would not be a legal contract. So legality is one of the elements. A contract has to have all 6 elements to be enforceable, to be binding. So, I have to have all 6 elements. The final element of a binding contract is legality. Parties cannot be allowed to enforce a contract that involves doing something illegal. So some illegal contracts involve agreement to commit a crime or to perform a tort. So I wrote that down. So tort is a private wrong that injures another person's physical well-being, property, or reputation. So that is a tort. Then he also had a tortfeasor, a person who commits a tort and has engaged in this twisted behavior. So that's what it's saying here. It says the last element of a contract, legality. Some illegal contracts involve agreements to commit a crime or to perform a tort. So you don't want to enter into a contract and perform a tort, because that is basically that would be a civil wrong. So tort is, I believe that's under civil law, not criminal law, but civil law, because it said a private wrong that injures another person's physical well-being, property, or reputation. And it said other activities that are neither crimes nor torts have been made illegal by specific statutes. Among these activities are usurious agreements, wagering agreements, unlicensed agreements, unconscionable agreements, and Sunday agreements. So these are some terms I'll probably be going over later. I want to talk more about these usurious agreement. I think I wrote that. Okay, usury, the practice of charging more than the amount of interest allowed by law. So you go buy a car or a house, and they charging you more. They charging you an astronomical amount of interest for that car or that house. So that would be usury. Some words are hard to say, really. Okay, so let's talk about contracts and the UCC, Uniform Commercial Code. The Uniform Commercial Code is a unified set of statutes designed to govern almost all commercial transactions. So commercial transactions are those business transactions. So they're governed by the Uniform Commercial Code. All other types of contracts, including employment contracts and real property contracts, are governed by common law rules and certain special statutory provisions. Okay, let's go down to let's see what else we have here. Let's go to we can go to privity. Let's go to contracts and privity. The general rule of contract law is that the parties to a contract must stand in privity to one another. So privity, that seems like a word it seems like a root word comes from that. Privity, not privity. That's another word I was thinking about. I forgot. It might be in here. I'll see if I see it. Privity means that both parties must have legally recognized interest in the subject of the contract. Right. So in other words, you could be privity. The word I was thinking about, I'm thinking about the same word, a similar word, but it's In other words, when you, oh, okay, I'm thinking about the word party. You can be a party to a conversation. In other words, if you got four people and they got a conversation going on, right, but somebody standing down the hall would not be privy. Would not be privy. I think it's privy. Would not be privy to their conversation. In other words, me and three other ladies and gentlemen or whoever, we're having a conversation, but we all would be privy to a particular conversation that we are having. But somebody down the hall would not be a part of that conversation. They would not be privy to that conversation. That's the word I was thinking about. This one says privity. It almost seems like it means a similar meaning. See, privity means that both parties must have a legally recognized interest in the subject of the contract. Okay, let's see what else we have, what other terms we have. Valid contract. A valid contract is one that is legally binding and fully enforceable by the court. And then we have a void. A void contract is one that has no legal effect whatsoever. A voidable contract is one that may be avoided or canceled by one of the parties. So a voidable contract, it can be canceled by one of the parties. And then we have, let's talk about a unilateral contract. And the unilateral contract is an agreement in which one party makes a promise to do something to return for an act of some sort. A person who promises to pay $5 to the finder of his missing pocket calculator does not expect a promise in return. Rather, the person expects a return of the calculator. When the calculator is returned, the contract rises and the promisor owes the finder $5. In contrast, a bilateral contract is one in which both parties make promises. A bilateral contract when both parties make promises, because you know bi means two. So when both parties make promises. A breach of contract when you, in other words, you enter into a contract, you didn't do what you were supposed to do in carrying out that contract, so you breached the contract. See, a breach of contract occurs when one of the two parties fails to keep the promise. In other words, you enter into a contract and you fail to keep your promise. In other words, you enter into a contract, say, hey, you had a contract with the government, and you say, hey, they want you to refrain from smoking in your apartment because the smoke goes through your vent and it goes to your neighbor's apartment, and your neighbor had been complaining. So your neighbor had been complaining, and so now you have a contract. I mean, this is just, it probably wouldn't happen like this, but so I'm just saying, So in other words, you breached the contract, but you kept on smoking in your apartment when they told you no, because the smoke goes up through the vent, and the courts had told you, you had to refrain from smoking in your apartment. If you can, try to smoke outside. So it says occurs when one of the two parties fails to keep the promise. So you failed to keep the promise. That person failed to keep the promise, but they kept smoking in their apartment. When the contract states that they were not supposed to smoke in their apartment because smoke goes through the vent and it goes to the neighbor's apartment. So let's talk about an express contract. An express contract requires some sort of written or spoken expression that indicates the desire of the parties to enter into a contractual relationship. An implied contract is created by the actions or gestures of the parties involved in the transaction. So in other words, express contract is written, no express, it's spoken. Well, it's written too. Written or spoken words, express contract. Like I said, a gentleman asked me to wash his car and said he's going to pay me $20. That would be an express contract. And I agreed. We had all the elements, so there was a legally binding contract. We had an offer. They offered it to me. I accepted. We had consideration. That was the $20. We had legality. And we had legality and mutual assent and capacity. So we had all 6 elements. And let's see, what do we have? Okay, we have informal contracts, an oral or written contract that's not under a seal or is not a contract of record is considered an informal contract. An informal contract is also known as a simple contract. An informal contract generally has no requirements as to language, form, or construction. It comprises obligations entered into by parties whose promises are expressed in the simplest and usually most ordinary non-legal language. Okay, it's a whole lot of stuff on here about contracts. We got the executory contract, a contract that has not yet been fully performed by the parties. Is called an executory contract. Such a contract may be completely executory, in which case nothing has been done, or it may be partly executory, in which case the contract has been partially completed. In other words, somebody entered into a contract that's partially completed, so they executed the contract, but they didn't finish it. So it says that the contract has been partially completed. So these are some of the elements of a contract. So the first element, offer and acceptance. So the first element of a valid contract is the existence of an offer that was explained in chapter 6. An offer is a proposal made by one party to another indicating a willingness to enter into the contract. So they offered me to say, hey, then what if I had somebody say, hey, Miss Hubbard, paint my house, I give you $5,000, paint my whole house, and they offered it, they seemed sincere, I accepted, so offer, acceptance. Consideration was the $5,000, mutual assent, meeting of the minds, we both agreed that it seemed sincere, it did have capacity and legality, it was a legal contract, it wasn't a contract for the sale of drugs or nothing illegal, so, let's have my little, this is a milk drink. Tastes pretty good. It tastes just like sweet milk. And offer. We talked about offer. Let's go to intent, serious intent. It must have serious intent. An offer is invalid if it is made as an obvious joke. Like I said, if it's made with a joke during an emotional outburst of rage or anger or under circumstances that might convey a lack of serious intent. Adam's son was having great difficulty with his automobile. First, the car needed a brake. Then transmission had to be replaced. Next, a new water pump. The fourth time, Adamson brought the car into the repair shop. The carburetor had to be rebuilt. He had a whole lot of trouble with his car. At this point, he told Gunther, the mechanic, that he'd gladly sell the car for 2 cents and bus fare home. Under these circumstances, Gunther would not have the right to believe that Adamson's offer to sell the car was seriously intended. So in other words, he had so much trouble with his car. The brakes went out, the carburetor, a whole lot of problems. And he was just joking. He said, look, I sold this car for 2 cents. The brakes went out, the carburetor, and all these problems. But I sold this car for 2 cents. So it didn't seem that it was a sincere gesture. It didn't seem like that would be a contract. And he said it kind of jokingly. So I have to have a serious intent behind it. So it says, Gunther would not have the right to believe that Adamson's offer to sell the car was seriously intended. So that didn't seem like it had no serious intent. So let's see. We talked about offer and acceptance. Let's talk about, let me see what I have next. Okay, we're going on. Okay, these are, they just spaced all the elements of a contract in each chapter, in different chapter. Now this chapter is mutual assent and effective agreement. It says Goodwin, a sales representative for the Kirkpatrick Office Supply Corporation, was attempting to sell a suite of office furniture to Wentworth. During the sales talk, Goodwin told Wentworth that the desk chair was made of leather and that the desk was solid oak. In fact, Goodwin knew that the chair was imitation leather and that the desk was made of pine. Wentworth, who was an expert carpenter, realized that Goodwin was not telling the truth about the desk. However, he believed her statement about the leather chair. Goodwin also told Wentworth that the computer desk would look very impressive in his office. Wentworth, however, believed that Goodwin told him about those items. On the strength of the sales presentation, Wentworth purchased the entire office suite. Did any of Goodwin's statements amount to misrepresentation or fraud? Is there a difference between fraud and misrepresentation? This chapter answers these and other questions. So in other words, he was trying to sell some office equipment, and so he said it was one thing, but actually, in actuality, it was something else. So they try to say, would that be misrepresentation or fraud? So it sounded like misrepresentation, but so in other words, he's telling her that it's real leather, but it wasn't. It was some other kind of, and then she went and purchased it. But see, when a person purchased something and you say it's one thing, and it seemed like a misrepresentation to me. Like when they get it home, then it's gonna be a problem. You told me that was real leather. I got it home, I realized that wasn't no real leather. So let's talk about some elements of fraud. To destroy mutual assent on a claim of fraud, the complaining or innocent party must prove the existence of 5 elements. First, the complaining party has to show that the other party made a false representation about some material fact, an important fact, a fact of substance involved in the contract. A material fact is very crucial to the terms of the contract involved in the contract. A material fact is very crucial to the terms of the contract. Second, it must be demonstrated that the other party made the representation knowing of its falsity. Third, it must be revealed that the false representation was intended to be relied upon by the innocent party. So, detrimental reliance. I heard that word too. You tell somebody something, you promise somebody something, and they relied on your promise, but you didn't carry through on your promise. So, to your detriment, you relied on their promise. And then it said, fourth, the complaining party must demonstrate that there was reasonable reliance on the false representation. Finally, it must be shown that the innocent party actually suffered some loss by relying on the false representation. After entering the contract, a case involving either active or passive fraud must be based on these 5 elements. So the elements of fraud. So you have to have, I think they said 5 elements. Yeah, 5 elements. So in other words, to prove fraud, those 5 elements have to be present. 5 elements. So you can't just say it's fraud. See, second, it must be demonstrated that the other party made the representation knowing that it was false. So you knew something was false, and that's just like saying somebody got AIDS. Somebody had AIDS, but they didn't. But that would come under defamation of character. But this is elements of fraud. But these are nice terms in here. So in other words, you have the 5 elements have to be present that would be for your defense for fraud. Say the elements of fraud. Let's see what else we have. And then another term we have duress. Duress and undue influence have one thing in common. They rob a person of the ability to make an independent, well-reasoned decision to enter a contractual relationship freely. Duress may be viewed as an action by one party that forces another party to do what need not otherwise be done. In other words, duress. You forcing somebody to sign a contract that they ordinarily would not sign. You threatening them or whatever. That would be duress. And then we have, I think that's all. Oh, yeah, here's another term, undue influence. When the obviously dominant party in a confidential relationship uses excessive pressure To convince a weaker party to enter a contract that greatly benefits the dominant party. Undue influence occurs. In other words, you trying to press somebody into signing a contract that would benefit you more than it would benefit them. Undue influence. So we got contractual capacity. See, Carrington, who was 17, was in the market for an automobile. She found a used Saturn for $9,000. She was only 17 years old, see. I know where this is going already. She found a used Saturn for $9,000. Remember, she only 17 years old. At the Cooperative Auto Mall, Steinman, an authorized sales representative for Cooperative, negotiated a deal with Carrington, knowing her age. So she goes in there trying to buy a car, and they still negotiated with her, knowing her age was 17. Sometimes people just be trying to get their money. Then it says, Steinman, an authorized sales representative for Cooperative, negotiated a deal. Knowing her age, Carrington paid $500 down and agreed to pay the balance over the next 5 years. How you going, it's just in the book. 4 days after she purchased the car, the owner of the Cooperative Auto Mall learned that had sold the Saturn to a minor. Angrily, he told Steinman to get the car back and to cancel the deal. Steinman called Carrington and told her that he needed to have the car back. He told her that because she was a minor, he and the Cooperative Auto Mall had the right to void the contract. Was Steinman legally correct in this statement? What capacity, if any, does a minor have when entering a contract? Matters related to contractual capacity are explored in this chapter. So now I talked about. So now I know the ramifications. In other words, now this is the opposite. This is like the other way around. So in other words, if a minor enter into a contract, they can have the contract rescinded because they are a minor. But what if they are a minor and it's the other way around? The company wants the car back, and the company wants to rescind the contract. So that's what they say you're gonna learn in this chapter. So it says chapter objectives. Describe the general legal presumption with regard to a party's capacity to create a contract. Explain why the law allows minors to void contracts for anything other than necessities. So they can buy necessities like food, clothes, shelter. I guess, it says necessities, so definitely food and clothes. Differentiate between the age of minority and the age of majority under common law, and explain how Amendment 26 to the Constitution affects the age of majority. It's a lot of things to learn. Let's talk about disaffirm. When a minor disaffirms a contract, that is, indicates by a statement or act and intent not to live up to it, the minor is entitled to a return of everything given to the other party. That is true even when the property transferred to the minor under the contract has been damaged or destroyed. A few states will deduct something from the amount returned to the minor if the goods are damaged. Most states deduct nothing. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's talk about contracts for necessities. Goods and services that are essential to a minor's health. Health and welfare are necessaries. Necessaries include food, that's what I said, food, clothes, and shelter. Food, clothing, shelter, and medical and dental services. A minor's contract covering necessaries is enforceable against the minor. The minor, however, is not required to pay the price agreed on a contract for necessaries, but only their fair value is determined by the court. Necessaries will not qualify under this rule if they have already been provided to the minor by parents or others. In determining whether goods and services qualify as necessaries, the court inquires into the minor's family status, financial strength, and social standing or station in life. Necessities then are not the same to all persons. So in other words, it won't be considered if they are minors. It won't a minor, minors. If they are minors, it won't be considered a necessary if the family and the parents are providing it for them. So in other words, you can't, claim that it is a necessity, because that's what it says here. It says necessity will not qualify under the rule if they have already been provided to the minor by the parents or others. So if the parents providing your shelter, then you can't use that under your necessities claim. So then we have, yes, if you're mentally impaired, like I said, you're on drugs, you're mentally impaired. You're a minor, you're mentally impaired, you cannot enter into a contract, and if you do, it will be rescinded, because it won't be legal. It won't be a binding contract because you can't enter into a contract with a minor or with somebody that's mentally impaired. It says the contract made by a person who is mentally infirm or who suffers from mental illness may be valid if the person's infirmity or illness is not severe enough to rob that person of the ability to understand the nature, purpose, and effect of their contract. So in other words, if their mental illness is not so severe, in other words, basically, if they know what they're doing, but if they really, really mentally incompetent, then they can't, a contract will be voided. That's what I said, a contract made by a person who is mentally infirm, or who suffers from mental illness. It may be valid, and it may not be valid. It may be valid if the person's infirmity or illness is not severe enough. So it has to be a real severe mental case. Thus, mental retardation or mental illness does not necessarily reduce a person's ability to enter into contracts. So it says, thus, mental retardation or mental illness does not necessarily reduce a person's ability to enter into contracts. The legal question to be answered is whether the mental problem is so serious that the person did not understand the nature of the contract. So if they have a mental issue, so if it's so severe that they can't understand the contract, then that way you have a problem. You have a problem. So, persons legally insane, persons drugged or intoxicated. See, a person declared to be insane by competent legal authority are denied the right to enter contract. Yeah, person declared to be insane by competent legal authority. In other words, legal authority, legal person, and they say that person is incompetent, and it says if they have been declared insane by a competent legal authority, and they are denied the right to enter into a contract. Then we have person drugged or intoxicated. Contracts agreed to by persons under the influence of alcohol or drugs may be voidable. So in other words, they can void the contract. Okay, that was a pretty good chapter right there. Then we have consideration. That's something of value. You enter into a contract. You say, hey, like I said, paint my house, I'll give you a couple $1,000, $5,000, that's since that's over $500, I mean, the contract seems sincere. Contract seems sincere, so let's put that in writing. We have all the elements, make sure we have all the elements. Make sure you have all the elements. Offer, consideration, acceptance, consideration, mutual assent, capacity, and legality. So, the nature of consideration. Consideration consists of a mutual exchange of benefits and sacrifices between contracting parties. In the exchange, what is a benefit to the offeree is at the same time a sacrifice to the offeror. Okay, problems with consideration. Problems may arise when the consideration involved in the contract is money and the parties agree as the amount of money that the debtor owes the creditor. How such problems are resolved depends upon whether the transaction involves a genuine dispute as to the amount owed. One way such disputes can be settled is by an agreement known as an accord and satisfaction. Okay, let me see. Then we have legality. We have legality. So, offer, acceptance, consideration, legality, mutual assent, and capacity. So, let's see what other words. And I have a couple. One word and also I have on my paper the statute of frauds. It's a law that requires certain contracts to be in writing. That's what I was saying when I said most contracts, contracts $500 or more, and certain other contracts have to be in writing. You know, when you go buy a car, you buy a house, you know, those type of contracts definitely have to be in writing. You know, you rent an apartment, you know, your lease is a contract. That definitely has to be in writing. So statute of frauds, the law requires certain contracts to be in writing to be enforceable. Statutory law, that body of law that includes statutes, ordinances, and bylaws. And the word I was talking about earlier, usury, the practice of charging more than the amount of interest allowed by law. In other words, you go buy a car, you buy a house, and they trying to hit you up with so much interest, you like, nah, man. And then I have I don't know if this was in my book or not, but this is a term that I talked about previously. We have stop and frisk. A policing practice of temporarily detaining, questioning, and at times searching civilians and suspects on the street for weapons and other contraband. They call it also the Terry stop. In other words, you just happen to be stopped and they're going to frisk you. I don't think they do that too much anymore, but I don't know. But, you know, that was in the book. So, stop and frisk. So, you going about your merry way and you're in your car or you walking. You could be going to the store or anything and, and they just happen to, they don't even have to have probable cause. But this type of thing, stop and frisk, they don't have to have probable cause. So, they stop and frisk, and then they search you, see if you have any weapons or drugs on you. But then we have it says it says something about more than just a reasonable suspicion. While they don't have to have it said more than just a reasonable. I guess they would have to have more than just a reasonable suspicion. That's what I think I might have wrote it. It said while they don't need probable cause to stop you, they must have reasonable suspicion, as I said, of criminal activity. They can frisk you unless they suspect you are armed and dangerous. Any contraband, illegal drugs can be used against you in court. In other words, although they don't have to have probable cause, they have to have more than a reasonable suspicion that, you committed a crime or something. And then if they think that you might be carrying weapons or something on you, then they won't search you. So that's what it's saying here. It says they can frisk you unless they suspect you are armed and dangerous. Dangers of any contraband, illegal drugs can be used against you in court. Okay. And then I did a video yesterday. So, but I was talking about the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. So I want to come back to 10 amendments. The first one, freedom of speech, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, In other words, you can practice whatever religion you want to practice. You want to be a Baptist, you want to be a Catholic, whatever type of religion you want to practice. So, that's the First Amendment. Then the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. You can bear arms, right to bear arms. Number 3, no quartering of soldiers in your home. In other words, you can't just say, I'm going to have a party, or I got a fight going on, I have this battle going on, I'm going to bring these soldiers in my home. But you can't do that. Number 4, freedom from unreasonable searches and seizures. Number 5, that's the Fifth Amendment. Right to due process of law, right to speedy and public trial. And number 6, let's see, right to due process of law, number 5. Number 6, the right to a speedy trial, speedy and public trial, that's number 6. Number 7, the right of trial by jury in civil cases, that's number 7. Number 7, right of trial by jury in civil cases. Number 8, freedom from excessive bail. They can't charge you in excessive bail. In case you have to go to court, you're trying to, get bail, get your bail bondsman, and they can't charge you no excessive bail. But I know for certain cases they do charge, high bail, but what's that? Number 8, freedom from excessive bail, cruel and unusual punishment. Number 9, other rights of the people. And number 10, powers reserved to the states. So in other words, number 10, the style of powers reserved to the states. So the state get the power on certain issues. And that was 10. So the first 10 amendments to the Constitution are the Bill of Rights: freedom of speech, press and religion, freedom of the press. In other words, the news people, they come around and they have, they can come to ask you questions and just show up, and they have freedom of speech as well. So those were that. Let me get back to the book. And let me see how much time we have. I got a little bit of time left. Let me see. So that was a good chapter on contracts. Yep. In other words, like I said, you had a contract. Hey, look, paint my car. Paint my house. That's a contract. And, as long as you have those 6 elements, you have to have those 6 elements, and before it be a legally binding contract, that would be enforceable. No one can be, you can't be, well, it'll be good not even to even enter into a contract with a minor, because it can be rescinded, and this is a contract for necessities. So, let me see. Let's see whatever we have. Let's see what else I have. Okay, I think that was all. I think I got probably about 10 more minutes maybe. Real property. Let's talk about the nature of real property. The ground and everything permanently attached to it is real property. In other words, you buy a house, then, the ground and everything on your property belongs to you. So it says the ground and everything permanently attached to it is real property. It includes buildings, fences, and trees on the surface, earth, rocks, and minerals under the surface, and the airspace above the surface. I think I went over this before. So a lot of times we don't think about that. You buy a house, and you got your fence all the way around your property, the airspace, it becomes your property too. You bought that house, all the land, the dirt, the surfaces, the rocks, the earth, and all that belongs to you when you buy that house. You have a certain amount of acres, certain amount of land that is included in the purchase of your property, your house. So you own the airspace too. That's what it says here. The ground and everything permanently attached to it is real property. So that's what it is right here. It is of air rights. In early England, landowners owned the airspace above their property to as high as the heavens. This law changed with the increased use of the airplane. Modern court decisions have held that landowners own the airspace above their land to as high as they can effectively possess or reasonably control. This height usually extends as high as the highest tree or structure on their property. It is a trespass for anyone to run wires through someone else's airspace or to use another's airspace in any way without permission. Electric and telephone companies must obtain easements for the right to run wires through the airspace of property owners. In other words, they can't come, you buy a house, you own that certain airspace, you own the land, you own all the surfaces. So it says, the airspace above the surface. Airspace above the surface, the earth, the minerals, the rocks, buildings, fences, and trees. In other words, you buy a property, you buy a house, and that tree inside your yard will become your tree. Unless it's out there on a government street, then it would be the government's, property. But in other words, you buy a house, that tree in your yard belongs to you. Yep, the tree in your yard. I know we had a house, the house that we grew up in, we did have a tree in the yard. Yep, so these are some good things to know. Estate and fee simple. Anyone owning real property outright that is forever is said to have an estate in fee simple. The estate descends on the death of the owner to the owner's heirs. The owner of an estate in fee simple has absolute ownership in the real estate, with the right to use or to dispose of it as desired, as long as the use of it does not interfere with others' rights. So, estate in fee simple. See, anyone owning real property outright that is forever is said to have an estate in fee simple. So, in other words, you buy a house, that's your property, you have an estate in fee simple, and something happened to you, you pass it down to your relatives. And so I am going to wrap it up. We also have general warranty deed. A general warranty deed, sometimes called a full covenant and warranty deed, contains express warranties under which the grantor guarantees the property to be free of encumbrances created by the grantor or by others who had title previously. It is the most desirable form of deed from the point of view of the grantee because it warrants that title is good. We have the special warranty deed, contains express warranties under which the grantor guarantees that no defect arose in the title during the time that the grantor owned the property. There's so many. Oh, then here's another one right here. I heard this one before. A quit claim deed. Quit claim. Quit claim deed is one that transfers to the buyer only the interest that the seller may have in the property. So it says also called a deed without covenant. Is one that transfers to the buyer only the interest that the seller may have in the property. Sometimes you gotta read things over and over. Sometimes you can get the understanding. Oh, another term I heard before too. Eminent domain, also called condemnation, is the right of federal, state, and local governments or other public bodies to take private lands with compensation to their owners for public use. In other words, you have property, you have land, the government can come take your property, but they have to pay you. Because I know my grandmother down the country, they paid her for some of her land, or what they did, they went down there where she lived, they went down there and put a highway through there. They used part of her land, they built a highway, they needed part of her land to build this highway. So, so they needed part of her land. But I said, so let me see what we have next. I think I'm going to wrap it up with the stuff in this book. Because it goes on, there's a whole lot of stuff in here. Tenant, landlord, and tenant situations. We also have tenant rights. The tenant is entitled to the peaceful possession and quiet enjoyment of the rental premises. Yeah, I heard that term before too. Intestacy, a term given to the quality or state of one who dies without having prepared a will. A will is intestacy. So the deceased personal property is distributed according to the laws of intestate. So you die intestate, but you die without a will. And then we have another term they call when people die owning assets, the estates must be probated. That is settled under the supervision of the court. So if somebody passed away, you go to the courts and get the estate probated. A lot of people don't fool with that, unless they have a large estate, but and so the court that supervises the procedure is called a probate court in some states and a surrogate court or orphans court in others. The first step in probating an estate is to determine whether the deceased left a will. If a will exists, it usually names a personal representative called an executor and executrix, who is a person named in the will to carry out its terms. If there is no will, or if the executor or executrix named in the will fails to perform, someone must petition the court to settle the estate. That person, if appointed, is called an administrator, administratrix, or administratrix is a female, and administrator is the male. Okay, so I think that will wrap it up for the book. But I have a few more minutes, so but I want to say thank you, God. First, giving honor to God. Thank you for waking me up this morning, starting me on my way. Thank you for your prayers, God. I want to pray for you all. I want to pray for all you out there in the world. And I want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for coming. Glad to see you. Glad you could be here. Subscribe below, comment below. So we have, contracts is, I think that's something good to talk about. So what I'll probably be doing is probably talking about, different terms, just sitting around talking, on different videos. And I had, started my entrepreneur series, so I didn't want to do an entrepreneur video today. So I think I want to talk about contracts. You enter into a contract, you breach a contract. You can't enter into a contract. Be careful when you enter into a contract with minors because they can rescind the contract. They can rescind the contract except for a contract of necessities, food, shelter, water, whatever. And contracts are you have to have all 6 elements. All 6 elements have to be present, before it be a legally binding, enforceable contract. And also you have, say for instance you got a contract, you say, hey, a lot of contracts are floating around here. You have these cleaning companies, they come out, they come out and they say, they clean your house for, say for instance, they make like, hey, $300, I clean your whole house. I'm mopping, vacuuming, washing dishes. You enter into a contract with them. They offered it, and they say, well, it's going to cost a certain amount. We're going to clean your whole house. We're going to vacuum. We're going to mop. We're going to do the dishes. We're going to clean the baseboards. Whatever they need to do. So they tell you what they need to do, and you accept it. Then that is the first 2 elements of a contract. They offered it, and they said we'll clean it, your apartment for a certain amount, or your house. You accepted it. The consideration is how much they're going to charge, and something the value would be. Say, for instance, they say we'll clean your house for $300. You accepted it, and you can enter into a legally binding contract. The folks that's going to come out there and do the work, they are of age. They they work for a company. They over 18. Say for instance they're 25 years old, so you can enter into a contract with them. So it's just that contracts you definitely have to be, and then they have contracts too also I remember they used to have them contracts with what you call it? Well, actually those contracts with the movie club. You got the movie club. You know, they used to have Blockbuster. You know, you enter into a contract with them. You had to buy a certain amount of videos. I mean, well, you had to rent a certain amount of videos in a certain period of time, and then there was a contract. Cause I know they got me one time when they went in my account and took some money out of my account because they said, because they said that I didn't fulfill my contract and I owed them some money. So when it went in my account, I said, but you know what? I cut that service off. And then, like I said, the movie club, Disney movie club, that's like a contract too. They want you to buy, because I know I just entered in there with Disney and the Disney movie club, and I had to buy 4 videos within the next year, I believe. I think it's 1 year, 1 or 2 years. So I had to buy 4 more videos. In other words, I bought one, so I had to purchase 4 more videos within I think it's a year, I believe it is. So now I have to fulfill their contract because I don't want to breach their contract. Because if I breach the contract, then they might try to charge me a certain fee. They may charge me for the videos anyway. Because when you enter into a contract, that's a contract too. That is considered a contract. So be careful, you're out there, certain contracts, according to the statute of frauds, certain contracts has to be in writing. Especially contracts for sales, selling something, you're selling a car, you're selling a house, that definitely has to be a contract that has to be in writing. Contracts $500 or more has to be in writing. I'm not a lawyer, but I love to do research, and I love law. I love law terms, and so I want to close on this note today. I want to say thanks for joining me with this little discussion on contracts. And next time, I'll see what I want to talk about the next time. There's so many different law terms, entrapment, mens res, it's just so many different law terms, and then you have what's that term? You have You have different things like assault and battery, tort law, torturous, tortfeasor. There's so many different law terms, that I'm going to do some more research. So I'll come back here on my next video and, just talk about different ones. So I think it's something, these type of things, it's good to read up on, good to learn. Because they said ignorance of the law is inexcusable. You want to know how the court system works. You want to know about arraignments. You want to know about bail bondsmen. You want to know about the arrest process. You want to know. Those are the things that you need to know. We need to know. The video I did a video yesterday talking about the Miranda rights. Where did the Miranda rights come from? It was a gentleman. It was a gentleman named Ernesto Miranda. Ernesto Miranda was arrested and charged with rape. This was back. I forgot what year it was, but it's on mine. It's still on mine. He was charged with rape, and they didn't read him his rights. But then, that's where the Miranda rights came from. But there are certain instances where law enforcement does not have to read you your rights. Say times when if they think their life is in danger, they don't have to read you your rights. Cut to the chase. And then another one when they when they are carrying out those no-knock warrants. They carrying out those no-knock warrants. They don't have to read nobody their rights. So what happens is if they come to your door and they say, hey, we are the police, then that means you will have to open your door. Because if you don't, they're going to kick it down. So that is a no-knock warrant. So I don't know if all states enforce the no-knock warrant. But I know where, I think young lady named Breonna Taylor, where they went in her house and kicked her door down and they killed her. So that it was a no-knock warrant that was issued, and now they had a petition, and I think she was from, I forgot where she was from. I think she was from, I don't know for sure, but I don't know if it was Minneapolis, Minnesota, but they said that they had enough signatures for the petition to get rid of that no-knock warrant. So don't know how true that is, but I saw that on the internet. But I want to say thanks for joining me today, and I don't want to make the video too long, so just going over a few little law terms. So, it's so many. And it's good to learn. Because, see, I have my paralegal diploma. I did want to do law. I did want to, become a lawyer at one point in my life, but I settled for the paralegal because I said that law school would probably kick my butt. But I did information systems and business. But I did the paralegal. I really enjoyed myself when I did business law at Australia University. That was part of my curriculum. So once I did that, then I fell in love with, law. I really like it, Then I did do paralegal. I did, not paralegal, but I did criminal justice. I took a few courses. I forgot the name of that school. It was a university. I did a few courses in criminal justice, but then I regressed from that, and then I, went on down to Australia University and finished down there. But I do have my paralegal diploma, so every chance I get, I'm online, I'm Googling, I'm doing research. So I always like to find out what this means, what that means, it's good. Information is powerful. Information is powerful. Those information systems that you put together, bringing in that information, it's learning. The learning never stops. The learning never stops. Learning never stops. So, learning is a lifetime thing, It's so much to learn. It's just so, you don't have to go to college and get a degree on everything that you, are interested in my opinion anyway. Because I was telling my stepdaughters, because my stepdaughter said, look, I want to, stepmom, I want to learn accounting. I said, well, I can show you a few little things, because I do have some videos on my channel, but also you can go to some other channels, and a lot of people on YouTube are very know more about accounting than me. So I told her, go to YouTube. I'll be on there myself looking at other people's videos. She really? And it's free information too? Yes, go on there and learn all you can learn. It's free. And then I want to give a shout out to this gentleman named David Adifeso, Tamar Braxton's her man, her boyfriend. He is very, very smart when it comes, because I listen to his I subscribe to his channel and her channel. So he gives out some great information, financial management. Very, very smart gentleman. And so I told my son, I said, look, subscribe to his channel because he gives out some very good information. Very smart gentleman. Yep, he's graduated from Harvard Business School. And I took my business studies down Australia University. So, but I don't mind learning all I can learn from somebody that, knows what they're talking about. So I'll be taking notes, I'll listen, and I try to listen to some of his videos just about every day. Yeah, at least one of them every day or every other day. So, very enlightening, tell you how to, tell you about investments, how you can invest your money, when you should invest, where you should invest, all kind of stuff he talks about. I said, God is so wonderful. I tell you, I'm just so thankful. And then I also look at these other young ladies. I look at a lot of these young ladies' businesses on YouTube. So I learned a lot because I'm working on my Shirley Cosmetics business, and I look on YouTube. I look at a lot of these young ladies way younger than me. And they doing their thing, so I look at them. I say, I will never be too proud to learn. And don't never be too proud to learn from somebody older than you, somebody younger than you. It don't make a difference. Don't make a difference. I'm willing to learn from anybody. If you could, teach me something, if I can learn something that I know I don't know, and I'm not going to be proud to say I think I know it when I know I don't. But matter of fact, I got YouTube on now, and I'm looking at my TV right here. So, there's nothing wrong with learning from someone else. We learn from different cultures. We learn, Well, I know when I was in Australia, we talked about, working in organizations. They always, all most of my books, my business books, my business courses, all they talk about is forming teams. You work for an organization, and they say teams. You have 3 or 4 people working in a team. They doing this and they doing that because you working in teams. You bring in different skills. You bring in different knowledge. In other words, you got a team. You got your team members. You got somebody may know programming. Somebody may know accounting. Somebody may know more about business. Somebody may know more. Somebody may know bookkeeping. Somebody might be the typist in the group. Somebody might be the one to get up there, do the presentation, do all the talking. So we worked in teams most of the time. When we did our presentations, we worked in teams. And then the teacher gave us something to do to research, a topic to research. And then we formed our teams. And well, actually, he picked the team for us. And then we worked together, So you come up, in other words, you imagine you working, you doing some research and you have a topic, and then you have their help, you have their help, you have their help, you have their help behind you. You have the student working on this, you working on this, and the other student working on that, and you put all your information together, get up in front of the class, present do your presentation, and it's very nice, very nice, very nice. College was very wonderful. I really enjoyed my time at Strayer University. And sometimes we had, you had the big projectors, and then you have on screen. Back then we didn't have the computers in the room, but we had the projectors, and then we did our presentation on the projectors, and so it was fun, but I don't want to hold you too long today. I want to say thanks for joining me today, and my prayers to everyone around the world. And I know there's been a lot happening, but we'll get through this, with this coronavirus and all these, oh God, all these unnecessary happenings, unnecessary hateful things that's happening around the world. But thanks for joining me today. And I don't want to go into that, on this video, but I want to see you next time on my next video. Comment below, subscribe below, and I'll be glad sometime I want to get outside and do me some videos too, but right now I'm in the house. I went outside earlier today, went to the store, so it's nice out there, but nothing wrong getting out there getting a little air. So thanks for joining me today. Glad to see you. Hope to see you next time. So subscribe below, comment below. You have any items you want me to review? I'll be glad to. You can email me at the same time, Shirley Cosmetics at yahoo.com, or you can comment below, subscribe to my channel. Give me some ideas of what I could talk about. I talked about buying a car, no, buying a house with no money down, buying a car, different things, I'm in the kitchen cooking, and, I don't have a team, so, back when in my college days, we had a team. I had my teams in my college days, but now I'm by myself, so. But thanks for joining me today. Hope to see you again. Same place, same time, same channel, The Cheryl Hubbard Show. And you all have a good one. And take care. Take care. Be blessed. All right. Have a good one.